Hello and welcome to the first show in a brand new series called No Win, No Fee. All 12 people here today are hoping to go home with £4,000, and you know what? I'm hoping they don't, because I do not get paid for presenting this show. If one of these contestants takes the money, I go home with absolutely nothing. Zero. No win, no fee for me. And if you don't believe me, take a look at my contract. There it is in black and white. Remuneration. The presenter agrees that he shall receive no fee for providing the services. In fact, the only way I make anything at all is if all these people fail to get the money. Then I go home with £4,000. Let's see who's standing in the way of me and my fee today. Steve, Joe, Simon, Keith, Sarah, Elizabeth, Eddie, Thelma, Gary, Jeannie, Vincent and Martin. Now, you're all virtual strangers to each other. You only met just before the show, and all you really know about each other are those names. So this is going to be a game of assumption and presumption. I'm going to ask you to choose an opponent who you think will get a question wrong. It's sudden death, and it's all about first impressions. There are 12 of you here now, and I'm delighted to say that in a few minutes, there are only going to be 6 of you. We start by randomly choosing just one of you. So one person to choose a question, then pick an opponent who is going to get that question wrong. Who's up first? Under the spotlight, it's Jeannie. Jeannie, join me and choose your question. What's it feel like to be up first?
Horrible.
Before I make you any more nervous, which question is somebody going to get wrong? Top or bottom? Which is most difficult for the people here?
Bottom.
The bottom question, without too much hesitation. Look at their faces. Tell me who you think is going to get this wrong after they hear it. Which golfer was known as the Golden Bear? Eddie is trying to stare you out, but is he bluffing? Elizabeth seems very happy. Simon is looking slightly puzzled. The choice is yours, though, because if you pick somebody who gets it right, Jeannie, you're out.
Yes.
Who's it going to be?
I think I'll go for Elizabeth.
Oh, dear Elizabeth. She wants you out, and she thinks you're going to get this wrong. Join us and prove her wrong, maybe. Now, you chose Elizabeth to face your question. Why her?
At a guess, I'd say the chaps probably know more about golf.
A lot of lady golfers.
There are.
Elizabeth, you must get this right to stay in the game. But if you do get it right, you've got an added bonus. You're in. Jeannie, who's put you under pressure, put you in the spotlight, she's out. Take your time. Here's your question. Which golfer was known as the Golden Bear? Any idea at all? What are you thinking now?
I'm sure he was African, from South Africa, white, big chap.
How do you feel now about your choice, Jeannie?
Brilliant.
No, I'm still happy with the choice. If Elizabeth knows it, she deserves to go through.
My husband's going to kill me. Tony Jacklin.
If Tony Jacklin was the Golden Bear, you're through to the next round, Elizabeth. If you're wrong, you're out. And Jeannie goes through. She's a good judge of character. She's chosen well.
Yeah.
The answer is Jack Nicklaus. Elizabeth, you're wrong.
No.
Which means, Jeannie, take your place for the next round. And Elizabeth, it's been lovely to meet you.
Thank you.
But I'm happy to say, you're out.
Thank you.
One out, one in. Who's up next to choose an opponent and a chance at my £4,000? Straight in front of me, there is no escape. It's Sarah. Join me and choose your question. Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
You've seen how it goes. Would you rather be picking one of these two questions or answering a question?
I think picking.
OK, your choice then, top or bottom? What do you think somebody here is going to get wrong?
I think bottom.
The bottom question. Here we go. Take a look at their faces. Pick somebody who you think is going to get it wrong. In Roman mythology, what was Vulcan the god of? Have you narrowed it down at all, Sarah?
Not really.
Of course, if someone is looking happy the way Joe is, they could be bluffing. And if they're looking depressed like Simon, they could also be bluffing.
I don't know why, but I'm going to go for Vincent.
Vincent, you've been singled out and selected. Join me and face your question. What kind of bloke do you think he is?
He hasn't got very good taste in shirts.
Right, we're getting personal, Vincent. So if you get this one right, you can boot her out. In Roman mythology, what was Vulcan the god of?
Well, I know there are a few that he can't be, so I would go for fire.
If Vulcan is the god of fire, Vincent stays in the game. If he's wrong, Sarah takes her place in the final round. Vulcan is the god of fire. Vincent, you are right. Which means, Vincent, you can take your place in the next round. And Sarah, I'm happy to say you are out. So it's about bluff, double bluff, counter bluff, luck and guesswork and first impressions. Steve, it's going to be you. Join me and choose your question. Lot to play for.
Certainly is.
£4,000. One of these questions could get you closer to that money. Which one are you going to put to somebody here in the hope they get it wrong, top or bottom?
The top one.
The top question. Study their faces. He's chosen that because he thinks someone here is going to get that wrong. Which jazz musician was known as Bird? Who's it going to be?
This is £4,000, this, isn't it?
£4,000, Steve. You've been paying attention.
OK, I'll go for Joe.
Joe, he thinks you're going to get this wrong. He thinks you don't know your jazz. Join us and prove him wrong. Face your question. Why, Joe?
I was trying to get some vibes from everybody else, but no. Joe was stood next to me, so I'm losing my voice now, so I'm concerned. So.
You take it easy. You've done your part for the moment. All eyes are now on Joe. Joe, you must get this right to stay in the game. If you do get it right, he's out. But if you're wrong, you leave us. Here's your question. Which jazz musician was known as Bird?
And you're right, I haven't got a clue. Duke Ellington.
If Duke Ellington is the right answer, you stay with us. The answer is Charlie Parker. Joe, you're wrong. Which means, Steve, a good judge of character, you stay with us for the next round. And Joe, commiserations.
Thank you.
But I'm happy to say you're out. So we're halfway through the first round. 3 people through, 3 out. Who's up next to choose a question? And it's Eddie. He looks almost relieved. Eddie, join me now and choose your question. Happy to pick from one of these two, or would you rather be answering? Top or bottom, what do you reckon?
I think I'll go for the top one.
The top question.
Yeah.
No hesitation there, really. Read 'em and decided. He's hoping the top question, which I'm about to read, is going to be impossible for somebody here. Watch their faces. Here we go. A murder is the collective name for a group of which birds? It's up to you.
I'm going to go for Thelma.
Thelma, he's seen you in action. He was standing right near you and he wants you out. Join me and face your question. Hoping you can read her.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Here we go. A murder is the collective name for a group of which birds?
I think I know.
She thinks she knows, Eddie. I think you may be less confident.
It's only a game show.
£4,000?
1 in 13.
I'm glad you included me. Thelma?
I think it's either crows or rooks. I'll have to say crows.
The answer is crows. Thelma, you're right. Which means, Thelma, take your place for the next round. And Eddie, commiserations.
Cheers.
But I'm happy to say, you're out. 4 people left, only 2 places. Who's up next? And it's going to be Keith. Keith, join me now and choose your question. You've had a while to wait and you've got less people to choose from, but maybe you've had a chance to study them. Which one of those 2 questions is somebody going to get wrong, top or bottom?
I think the bottom question.
The bottom question. No hesitation there. You've weighed them up and that's the one that somebody's going to fail at.
Yep.
Here it comes. Study all 3 of them. Which war was brought to a close in 1783 with the signing of the Paris Treaty?
I'll go for Simon.
And at last he moved. He raised his left eyebrow. Simon, join us now. Face your question. Was there any method in your madness?
Yeah, I figure it's a war question and he's got the hippie beads thing happening and he doesn't look like an aggressive kind of person, so I don't think he'd know his wars too well.
Right, here we go. You must get this right, Simon, to stay in the game. OK? If you do get it right, he's out. Take your time. Which war was brought to a close in 1783 with the signing of the Paris Treaty? Still think you made the right choice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a French history student, of course.
Yeah. Might have just done that period for GCSEs, A-levels. Could be a very young lecturer.
True.
Simon, have you thought about the £4,000 much?
No. I'm not in this for the money.
OK. If you want to get it, you've got to give me the right answer to this question. Which war was brought to a close in 1783 with the signing of the Paris Treaty?
I'm going to go for the Crimean War.
Still feeling confident?
Yeah.
The answer is the American War of Independence, which started in 1776. Simon, you're wrong. Which means, Keith, take your place for the next round. Simon, commiserations, but I'm happy to say you are out. 1 place left, 2 contestants, but who's going to be answering and who's going to be choosing? Who's up first, Gary or Martin? Martin or Gary? Martin is going to be up first to pick a question that Gary will have to answer. Martin, join me now. So you haven't got a choice of opponents, but you have got a choice of questions. You've got to pick the one that you think Gary is most likely to fail at. Which one do you think he's going to get wrong, top or bottom?
Bottom.
The bottom question. Now, in the interest of fairness, Gary, I'll read the question. We can just relish your discomfiture for a while to give you the equal amount of thinking time that the other contestants had. Buonarroti is the surname of which famous artist? Would you have chosen, Gary, had you had a choice of opponents, Martin?
I don't think so.
Quite difficult to read, isn't he?
Been around a bit, I think.
But one of you's got to go and it could be him.
It might well be.
Could be you, though.
It could be.
He's had his thinking time. Gary, join us and face your question. Gary, Martin is banking on you getting this question wrong. Take your time. Buonarroti is the surname of which famous artist? What's his body language telling you, Martin?
Big question mark.
You might be narrowing it down, though. Shall I find out?
Go on, yeah.
No. It's not, I mean, Picasso. I know it's not Picasso. But...
OK, we're saying Picasso. Buonarroti is, in fact, the surname of Michelangelo. So, Gary, I think you knew it, but you're wrong. Which means, Martin, you get the last place in the final round. And Gary, commiserations, but I'm happy to say you are out. And well done to all 6 of you for getting this far. Now, you've managed to eliminate an opponent each, either because you're a good judge of character, you're clever, or you're just plain lucky. But let's hope along the way you've been paying attention to each other's strengths and weaknesses, because now it's time for you to go head-to-head with each other. And with me, of course. Why me? Well, if none of you win, I put £4,000 in my pocket. Otherwise, I get nothing from the show. So I sincerely hope it's no win, no fee for you, as we all take one step closer to that money. And in round 2, things get decidedly trickier. Judgment of character is now crucial, because you've got to choose an opponent before hearing their question. I then read that question, and to stay in the game, you tell me if you think your opponent is going to get it right or wrong. As always, we start by randomly choosing one of you. Who's a good judge of character? Who's going to pick a vulnerable opponent? Who's up first? And it's going to be Steve. Did well in the first round. Steve, join us and choose your opponent. Getting a bit more intense now, isn't it?
Very.
Nothing much to go, although you were a good judge of character in the first round.
I think it was 95% luck.
Let's hope that luck has stayed with you. It's very simple. You choose an opponent, I ask them a question, and you tell me whether they're going to get it right or wrong. Whose character do you think you can read? Who have you got the measure of? Who do you fancy?
I'll go for Thelma.
Thelma, he thinks he's got the measure of you. He thinks he can read your character. Join us and face your question. Of course, Thelma did answer correctly in the first round, but after a lot of hesitation. Did you think she was bluffing?
Not really.
Do you think you can read her then?
Not really.
OK. You have lucked into this round, haven't you?
I have.
OK, Thelma. As ever, you must answer this question correctly to stay in the game.
Okay.
Before you answer, though, Steve's got to tell me whether you're going to get the answer right or wrong. Here we go. What is the monument in London a monument to? What's that face telling you, Steve?
I think she's going to get it right.
Do you know the answer to this?
I'm not saying.
Of course, if she's wrong, you're out.
True.
I quite like that. I quite like that. I'd like to get rid of 2 of you at once.
I know.
But don't let me influence you.
No, I think she's going to get it right.
Thelma? Steve's willing you to get this right. He's placing his faith in you. What is the monument in London a monument to?
I think it's got to be a monument for the First World War.
For the First World War. If you're right, happy days, you're both still in the game. If you're wrong, I'm happy, you're both out. The answer is something that happened in 1666. The Great Fire of London. Thelma, you are wrong. Which means Steve is wrong as well, because he predicts you get it right. So I say to both of you, with no little glee, sit down, you are out. 2 people out, 4 people left, in the way of me and £4,000. Who's up next to pick an opponent whose character they think they can judge? And it's going to be Keith. He looks surprised. Keith, you've got to fight your way to £4,000. Join me and choose your opponent. That walk feels quite long, doesn't it, in this round?
Certainly does. There's only 3 of them left.
Very simple, though. You pick an opponent, I read the question, you tell me whether they're going to get it right or wrong. Who can you read? How good a judge of character are you? You've seen 2 people out like that.
Try Martin.
Martin, he thinks he can read you, or he thinks you're bright and he can put his faith in you. Join us and face your question. there's a nervous laugh from you, Keith.
Mm-hmm.
Happy with the choice?
Yeah. Well, I hear the question first.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Study his face. In the TV series, for which organisation did Napoleon Solo and Ilya Kuryakin work? I love these quiet moments before the storm. What are you thinking?
Very, very hard to judge. I'll guess that he doesn't know.
He's going to get this wrong.
He's going to get it wrong. He's out, I'm in.
Take your time. In the TV series, for which organisation did Napoleon Solo and Ilya Kuryakin work?
As a child, I too was a member of Uncle.
The answer is Uncle. You're right.
Well done.
And I think Keith knew that as well. Martin, you stay in the game, back in line. Keith, commiserations, but I'm happy to say you're out. 3 contestants left. Vincent, Martin and Jeannie still in the game. But who's up next? Vincent, join me. Choose your opponent. OK, who's it going to be then? Who are you going to get the better of first if you're so keen to defeat them both, Jeannie or Martin?
Well, I think Jeannie's probably the stronger of the two, but Martin is on good form. So I will go for Martin.
OK, Martin, he's talked the talk, you've got to walk the walk. Come and face your question. You got the last one, Mike, got rid of Keith, didn't he?
I think he knows specific parts of the questions, but not everything.
Let's hear the question. How many rooms are there in a game of Cluedo? He closed his eyes for a second and did a kind of instant count, and I think he now knows the answer. A lot of people play Cluedo.
I think he's played it once or twice, but he's probably not a connoisseur.
The thing is, I want you to say he's going to get it right, because then if he gets it wrong, he's out because he has to get it right, and so are you. And I'm very close to £4,000, so you must not let me influence you. If you think he's going to get it wrong, so be it.
He will get it wrong.
Martin, get it right. You go up against Jeannie and me for £4,000. But if you're wrong, you're out. How many rooms are there in a game of Cluedo?
Well, I'm mentally going round that jolly board. I'm going to go for 8.
Well, there's the study hall and lounge, which is 3. The dining room, kitchen and ballroom, which is 6. And the conservatory and the billiard room and the library. There are 9, Martin, you are wrong. Which means, Vincent, back in line, you're still in the game. And Martin, I'm happy to say you are out. Sit down. So it's Jeannie and Vincent and me for £4,000. But who's going to be answering a question and who's going to be predicting? Let's find out. Vincent is up first. The only person he can play against, of course, is Jeannie, who's going to be answering the question. So would you both join me, please, for £4,000? Well, Martin was on course and Vincent got rid of him. Can he do it again? Or will Jeannie outthink him, outbluff him, outsmart him, and do him and me out of £4,000? Jeannie, which Canadian singer represented Switzerland in the 1988 Eurovision Song Contest? What do you see?
She doesn't know.
You've decided very quickly. Of course, if you stick with that answer and she does know, you lose £4,000. Are you sure she's not going to get it right? If she does get it right and you've said she's going to get it right, that's fine. You're both still in the game. We do it all over again. Of course, if you say she's going to get it right and she gets it wrong, Jeannie's out, you're out, I get £4,000, so don't let me influence you.
I'm going to stick with my original reading of her eyes, which says she doesn't know the answer.
So you think she's going to get it wrong?
I do.
Jeannie, if you get it right, you will win £4,000. If you do get it wrong, that money goes to Vincent, because he will have correctly predicted the outcome. Jeannie, which Canadian singer represented Switzerland in the 1988 Eurovision Song Contest?
I'm desperately trying to think of Canadian singers. I'll go for Celine Dion.
If the answer is Celine Dion, Jeannie gets £4,000. If she's wrong, then Vincent is right and he gets the money. The answer is Celine Dion. Jeannie is right. Which means Vincent was wrong to say she'd get it wrong. Vincent, commiserations, but sit down, you are out. Jeannie has won £4,000.
Thank you.
And that's the game. Jeannie's got the money. No win, no fee for me. Have you enjoyed yourself?
I have, very
Of
much.
course you have. I'm hoping you'll join us the next time we play the game, and maybe, just maybe, I'll get some money. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.